Now, another incredible human being that I feel very blessed and honored to have become very dear friends with in the process of the journey of the Global Men's Summit, the one and only James Erdt, who is located up in Canada. Canada, eh? And this man has so many accolades that goes behind his name that I can't even begin to say them all myself because I would have to spend 3 more days memorizing lines, and I'm not quite an actress yet. So, James, with no further ado, the TV host of Dynamo, the provider of PPE to many people in the world, cool security guy, trainer of Dobermans for high-end security people, and music connoisseur of like new forms of helping people and connecting teenagers to horses and with Revive Ranch. I could go on and on, but I won't because you're going to do a better job at it. So James, thank you so much for being on the show today for the Global Men's Summit.
Yo, yo, yo. There's Alicia and us men united and strong. Let's talk about the Global Men's Summit because we love what's going on. There's time for some justice and time for some truth. Let's realize what we can do. Honor, we will fly. There's a duty to be done, and we say I. There's a reason here and a reason above, and our honor is to try, and our duty is love. My men, come with me where the fire burns bright. We can even see better than by candlelight. Someday soon, we won't be left behind, because we will see the conscious collective of us men from our mind. Guys, I'm James Erdt. I'm a conscious, luminary, visionary, evolutionary who is living well and doing good around the world. Recently got into philanthropy about a decade ago and have not looked back. Lived a very eclectic, colorful existence from my teenage years onward. And I wanted to kind of start the story there. Anybody sensitive here? Anybody that doesn't want to hear the truth about some crazy situations or the odd F-bomb? No, we're good?
I think we're good.
All right. So back in the day, let's take it back. You know, we were all teenagers once, and that's one of those times in our lives where we are so impressionable. We want to, keep up with the Joneses. We want to fit in. We want to have, the belonging of our peers. We want to, move forward in leadership roles, whether we're followers or leaders. We all want to be leaders at some point in our life. A lot of that starts when we're at a young age. I grew up in a city called London, Ontario, Canada. I was conceived in Frankfurt, Germany, came over in my mom's belly, born on Canadian soil. I am actually, like Tim, I am the first non-military individual in the entire history of my entire lineage of the male side of my family on both sides of the fence. Proud to be Canadian. I was born here for a reason. I was born into a very diverse country. My belief systems is very Canadian. When I was 15, I was bullied quite a bit. Actually, let's take it back a step further. When I was in grade 3, I was actually bullied for shit that went on in World War II because of my German heritage by a couple of British boys who decided to, kick the shit out of me on the way to school, snow jobs. I had the outshiner here and there. I ended up taking the long way to school, which took about 45 minutes just to avoid these two boys in grade 8 that were picking on me and saying a lot of nasty things. Sticks and stones will break your bones, but words, they stuck, they hurt. I never ended up sharing it with my brothers or my father because I knew what would happen, and I didn't want it to go down that way, nor have another black stain on my culture or my background or my family. Going through public school and then going to the high school, which was next door to my public school. So I kind of kept it. I didn't share this story with anyone until I was 30, which was a cocaine overdose. We'll get to that. However, I got into grade 9. I never seen these two boys again because after grade 3, they went into grade 9. And to this day, I never saw them again. Carried a lot of anger, a lot of resentment for these two individuals till I was 30, till my cocaine overdose, which was an aha moment, a paradigm shift for me. I'm 48 years young now, half old. I like to call it half life old. So I'm almost there. I'm catching up to you, Jake. So basically, I got into grade 9 and the bullying started over again, but it wasn't because of my heritage. It was because of my chosen lifestyle of being a skateboarder, punker. You know, I was the first kid in high school that had 2 earrings. You know, I had a green mohawk, nose ring. You know, it just didn't really fit in with the football players, right? And Saunders, the place that I went to, was a very collegiate academic style school. You know, the high school champion football team across the city year after year. So there was a pressure to fit into academics. Just wasn't me. I was more of a snowboarder, surfer, skateboarder, skier, mountain biker, skydiver. All the individual sports that necessarily didn't have to have a team in order to play. Came from the soccer world. However, I did very, very well in skiing. I won the Canadian ski championships, which brought me to Austria, Vienna, Austria. And then I went to Kitzbühel. I won for Canada as a junior at the age of 14. Then I got into driving karts, go-karts. And I won the Myrtle Beach Grand Prix Formula 2000s, got a scholarship to Jim Russell Racing School in Montreal. A gentleman by the name of Emerson Fittipaldi. I'm not sure if you guys are F1 fans. He was to be my teacher. And I had a very, you know, prominent future ahead of me. It could have either gone snowboarding, potential Olympics, or towards F1 racing. You know, adrenaline is in my blood. And then it all changed. You know, with what seemed to be a minor decision, the peers that I surrounded myself with, because I was getting bullied by these football players, I joined a gang, a multicultural gang. I was that, you know, one crazy white guy that you'd have to watch out for, a bunch of Trinis and Jamaicans and Lebanese guys, a bunch of Native Indians that became my family. They became my brothers. And many of them are my brothers to this day. You know, the ones that made it, we'll call it that way. So from that point forward, once you're in, blood out kind of environment. So when we actually got to the point of, you know, getting physical with football players or whatever, it turned bad. It turned bad really quick. However, nobody bothered me anymore for the rest of my, you know, 5 years, because it was a grade 13 at the time when I went to school. Now there's only grade 12 up here in Canada. But long story short, I got involved with these guys. They were doing drugs. I made a decision which turned out to be, you know, a life-altering decision versus what most people today would consider a tiny little choice. I smoked my first joint of marijuana. Then I smoked another. Then it led to lube, hash, mushrooms, acid. You know, the list goes on. Crazy shit that kids do back in the day. And basically, from that point forward, you know, we were meeting new girls, et cetera. One of the girls that actually, you know, was single, that I had my eye on, who actually wasn't single for the first half of grade 9, was the girlfriend of the captain of the football team. And prettiest girl, her name was Emily, prettiest girl in the school. I ended up dating her. You know, I got the girl, which basically fueled the fires of the football players, especially the captain of the football team, who didn't like me to begin with, who's had some altercations with. She came to me with a check from her dad, $1,000 check, and it was forged by her dad, by her, of her dad's signature. And she's like, I want you to go cash this so we can go and party and do drugs and do what young kids do. Thought about it, went ahead with it, did it, got away with it. Lasted for about 2 weeks. I was like, oh, wow, okay, this is great. This is easy, you know. Could have messed up my entire, you know, future career, etc., but got away with it. So, okay. So what happens is she comes back to me for 2 weeks later, and she has another check, 10 grand. So this is Canadian dollars, still, you know, grand crime. Thought about it for a week, and I'm like, I don't want to lose this girl. I'm going to be humiliated if I end up losing this girl. I was, you know, so in love with this girl, head over heels, thinking with the wrong head. Plus, because she is the ex-girlfriend of my adversary, I made a really bad choice. So I like to call it good kid, bad choice. And I use that very, very frequently with the at-risk youth that I work with currently. A lot of these kids, you know, we don't necessarily look at the cause of why these kids are getting bullied or what they're getting bullied over, or the cause of why the bully is the bully. And usually 100% of the time, it has something to do with love or lack of love. And long story short, I decided to do the crime. I went and I cashed the $10,000 check at the bank, and the police and her father were waiting for me. So this is when I'm 17 years young, charged, and I ended up going to court on my 18th birthday, and I got convicted as an adult, sentenced to 3 months in prison on my 18th birthday in the murder capital prison of Canada, which is Middlesex, Exeter Road Prison in London, Ontario, which is actually the city that I'm from. My first roommate was a Hell's Angel. And I'm not going to get into the experiences that I went through there that, you know, was my rite of passage, I guess we could call it, you know. However, you know, you're expected to do things. You're expected to join groups by the color of your own skin. I did not do that. I came from a gang that was multicultural. So obviously you could imagine the problems that I had to go through as a young individual. Got out of there. What I realized, it's nothing rehabilitative about going to prison. Whether it's here or in the US, which is even worse than Canada, or around the world. I like to focus on something called rejuvenation, not rehabilitation, pumping life and love and vitality back into individuals. So I learned very quickly, which I now see as my school of hard knocks, going through all that as the wisdom that I was blessed to have gained by going through there, and the street credibility that I have the instant I speak with some of these gangbangers or kids or drug addicts or alcoholics or kids that are coming out, in and out of gangs, or in and out of prison or in and out of the juvie system. It's allowed me to have that credibility to speak to them in a way that they know clearly that I'm not 5-0, I'm not a cop, I'm not a guidance counselor, I'm not their parent, I'm not a teacher, because basically they're like, you know, whatever, they're not going to listen to these individuals. However, somebody that genuinely cares, or let's say, like take for example Jake's story just now, somebody on their way into the military for all the wrong reasons, you know, Jake could probably possibly put some sense into them, you know, so they can make an educated decision. If they still want to go, power to them, great. That's their line of duty. That's their call of duty. However, maybe some of them are doing it for the wrong reasons. I got into gang life for all the wrong reasons, and it had everything to do with violence, crime, and drugs, power tripping, right? And I didn't want to be bullied anymore. I didn't want to be picked on. But that lasted until I was 30. So long story short, I got out, and the connections that I made in there were pretty prominent in the criminal world. Ended up getting more into rave culture. My grandmother passed away, left me a lot of money. I went out and bought a nightclub called Future Shock Discotheque. There was 3 clubs. There was Heaven Above, which was an ambient lounge. There was Hell in the basement. It was an industrial club. And there was the Future Shock Discotheque in the middle, which was a rave club. But if you guys know anything about raving, it doesn't have a lot to do with alcohol. It has everything to do with heavy duty ecstasy and partying and mushrooms. And, you know, so it's not the greatest business model to keep a bar open. So I ended up losing that with a very shady landlord that nailed me on installing black urinals in the basement. He gave me verbal permission. The second I started structural changes, he locked the doors on me, on my staff, on my DJs who had all the records in there, and basically said, you didn't get written permission. So he looped me into an entrapment situation, which had me lose my fortune. To this day, if I would have went to the Superior Court of Canada, I would not be working to this day. I probably would be sitting on a very large sum of money, but I could only afford small claims court as a young person. I ended up winning 5,000 plus like an extra 1,500 in interest. So it was like 6,500 bucks, you know, however, it would have been millions if I had the money to actually pursue it properly. A lot of anger, a lot of resentment, a lot of, you know, just not good feelings once again until the age of 30, when I pretty much forgave not only everybody else, I also forgave myself, which is prominent, which is a very advisable thing to do for all the men on here, irrelevant of what we've done in the past, is to forgive ourselves and dust ourselves off and say, hey, I'm ready now in this moment to make change and be the person who I want to be and show up the way I want to be, because at the end of the day, you're serving you. And when you serve you at your highest level, when you take care of yourself at your highest level, and focus on self-love, self-confidence, self-esteem by putting good practice things in place daily, because we're habitual human beings, whether it's, food, fitness, family, finances, fun, which is a 5F word system that I'm going to tell you guys about in a second. I've created a vehicle and a system that I can share with anybody at any stage of life to attain life balance. And then when we're balanced as an individual, we have the ability to become the observer of our own realities. And once again, like Jake was saying, slow down, like take a step back and just breathe and be calm and act out of wisdom, not out of, like reaction. It's more of a response versus a reaction then. And we're making more calculated, common sense, logical decisions based on practical wisdom. So I thought I would share this with you guys today. It's called the 5F word system. When I share this in high schools, I talk in the high school circuit here in Canada, in the Toronto region. I'm speaking to a very generalized audience, but it's a way for me to find out who are the kids that really need our help. They hear me speak. They see that I'm harmless. Some of them resonate with me significantly, and they reach out very, very quickly. So we give them opportunities and options to reach out to me. I speak to a generic audience. I have to create my content in a very generic way, because I'm not going to single out the bullied, and I'm not going to single out the bully. For the anti-bullying festival, where all the socialites go to feel good about themselves, guess who's not showing up? The bully and the bullied, right? They're not coming, right? So how do you get access to their eyes and ears and attention in a present moment where you can share with them to let them know that this is a safe place and I'm a safe individual, a non-judgmental individual that you can come to and grow with and learn from and be guided by in a very loving, unconditionally loving way. So I speak to these audiences in a way that allows these individuals to come, or I get individuals from the community that help me source these people that are on their way to, gangs or gang violence or prison, or even worse, death. So by the time I was 33, 7 of my friends were dead from drug overdoses, and 1 friend dead from gang violence, shot dead, including my best friend. So not fun burying your friends, I can assure you of that. When I'm talking in schools, I say, look to your left and look to your right. 4 people on both sides, dead, gone, right? My best friend's saying was, in moderation, everything's fine in moderation. Moderation won't kill you. And I was like, okay. Well, he called me when I was 33. I had already been out of the scene. I had a cocaine overdose when I was 30. This is 3 years later. Calls me, he goes, James, you haven't been out in a while. Why don't you come on out and go party with us? We're going to a club that you used to love, a rave club. It's going to be an after hours party, etc. It's one of our other friends, his wife, and me. And I was like, guys, you know what? Out of sight, out of mind. Like for me, I get in front of those speakers. I hear the trance music. I just want to get into it. I want to drop a hit. For me, it wasn't the people. It was the music. I just loved the music loud. I was that guy in the speaker, dancing away. And I said no. I had the strength and the ability to say no, to know where my demons were, and they were in the nightclubs. So I get a call at 6 a.m, and it was his wife. And first off, his wife never calls me. Secondly, it was 6 a.m, so I knew something was up. And I pick up the phone. First thing I hear is, he's dead. Right? So 1 pill. This is a guy that I would drop, in 2-3 days. We would go on benders, drop anywhere from 5 to 10 hits of ecstasy and mushrooms and weed and GHB and blow and like you name it, like the whole enchilada. And we did this for 10 years, 15 years. This guy went out like twice a year now. 1 pill killed him. So there goes moderation out the window. You might as well put a bullet into a revolver, spin the barrel, put it to your head, pull the trigger, and you got the same chances. Right? That's what the kids are doing. And it's even worse nowadays. The stuff that with fentanyl and all this stuff that's going around right now. way, way worse than what's going on back in the day when I was partying. So, you know, this is a guy that thought he was a drug connoisseur and the drug kingpin that now, you know, is dead from one hit of ecstasy. He didn't know what was in that hit, right? He took it, trusted some random dealer, and Bob's your uncle, you know. So I got into, you know, more crime, bigger crime, more profitable crime based on the relationships that I made when I was in prison to sustain a lifestyle of luxury, because once you get to a certain level of making a certain amount of profit, you have a certain lifestyle which is very addictive, and you don't want to lose that lifestyle. Just like when I had the girl back when I was 17, I didn't want to lose the girl because I didn't want to be humiliated, and I cared so much about what people thought of me. So same shit. You're in your 20s, you're in your gang, you're amongst your peers. You start not making money, you start going down the status level, you start, you know, losing power, you start losing empowerment, you start losing friends, because most of those friends are around for the next line or for the next party or for the next drink or for whatever it happened to be. You know, they're not real friends, they're just people that party with you, right? At the end of the day, like, who's going to take the bus with you when you're down and out? That's who you know your friends are on moving day. You know, well, none of these people showed up on moving day when I had my falling out. And these are all people that hung out at my house. I had Party Central. I had like 10, 15, 20, sometimes 50 people at my house, you know, doing my stuff, doing my lines, doing my products. So on my 30th birthday, I decided to get back into blow. I had stopped for about 5 years. I was sticking to more like ecstasy and lovey-dovey drugs, etc., because I saw a lot of guys go down from blow, including deaths. And basically I overdosed. It was straight out of Colombia, pure Colombian flake, the best you could get. And I treated myself, and cardinal rule is don't do your own shit, you know, if you're a drug dealer. And I was one of the top suppliers in Toronto, Canada. I was dealing to both the gay and the straight scene, making stupid money to the point where, you know, I was running out of elastics from all the money I was counting. You know, Friday nights, I was like, oh my God, I got to count money again. It's ridiculous, right? To that point of being so desensitized to money. Awful, awful, awful thing. One of the worst things that can happen to a human being, because it's such an enabling tool and we work so hard for it in the real world. So obviously it became a monster. When I came through, my daughter looks at me and she's like, Dad, you know, this is after post cocaine overdose. Dad, what happens if you go back to prison or if you die? And then she said a line to this day that has kept me clean. And I'm 48 now. Okay. This is when I'm 30. She said, Dad, what if I need you? What if I need you? I was like, oh my God, what an a-hole. And that was the beginning of the new beginning of the new beginning that has led to many, many new wonderful beginnings in life for me, and the choice to become an inspirational speaker, personal development coach, empowerment coach, and work towards supporting predominantly 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old boys, where I lost my way. And just recently we added girls to that mix this past year. However, I found myself in my own story. I found my purpose in my own story. I found my message in the mess, right? In the mess of my life, I found my message. And I implore each and every one of you to go deep and look at that. So one of the tools that I provide, I'm going to put it actually in the little chat box here for you guys. It's called the 5 F-word system. So all the kids, they all think I'm going to drop an F-bomb. Let's see here. So let me know if you guys can see that.
James, do I need to make you the co-host?
Say that again?
You need to share something. Can I make you the co-host?
I put it in the chat. Can you guys see it in the chat?
I saw it.
Do I have to be co-host for that?
One of the guys, can you check to make sure it's working on your side?
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat box now. I don't see.
Wait.
I don't see. Do you have it to everyone?
I don't have it to everyone. It went to you directly, Alicia. Let me just do
Not
it.
seen it either.
Okay, you can see it now, maybe.
It should be up for everybody now.
There it is.
Hit tag now.
Yeah, so just open up those two, save them to your desktop. I'm going to do a little demonstration. I'm a very visual person. What I found, I'm very connected to a bunch of speakers. One of them, like Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins' son I was talking to, Jarek. He's a dear friend of mine. You guys know Anthony Robbins? You heard of him? One of the biggest speakers in the world. So Jarek, he actually, I was dropping him off at the airport. Him and his girlfriend at the time, who's now his wife, they were staying with me for a week at the Marilyn Monroe Towers in Mississauga, where I used to live. And I asked him, I said, what's the most important way to share your message? What's the best, most impactful way to share your message to an audience when you're becoming an impact influencer or a personal development speaker or a guru or a leader? What's the best way to do it? Is it author? Is it speaker? Is it, co-host? Is it TV show host? Like, what is the best way to do it? And he's like, James, he's like, this modern day age, it's important to be all of them. He goes, what's more important than what you're saying or you is what they're actually receiving. Okay. So let's say you're a speaker and there's a deaf person in your audience. Let's say you're a visual artist and there's a blind person in your audience. We have to deliver our communication as effective communicators all three ways: audio, visual, and kinesthetic. That's how you're going to leave an impact and a lasting memory with an individual. They may not remember everything you said, or watching you or listening to you. They may hear you, they may be listening to a degree, but you want it to hit home. You want them to do something. You want them to engage in some way, shape, or form. Hence, me giving you guys something that you can actually do on your own. So the handout there for the 5 F-word life balance survey, it's to help you guys develop life balance. So if you imagine 5 circles, okay, all interconnected, you can see it there on the logo: food, fitness, family, finances, and fun. Okay, family can also mean friends. All right, so you got 5 different F words. Very, very important in that particular order: food, fitness, family, finances, fun. I get a lot of moms always arguing with me, well, family comes first. It's so important. You got to take care of your kids first. And I'm like, well, have you ever heard of that story when the plane's going down and, the flight attendant at the beginning of the flight says, if something happens, the oxygen mask pops out of the ceiling. But let's say there's only one oxygen mask that's working. Do you put it on yourself first, or do you put it on little Joey first? What do you guys think? Who says little Joey? Who says mom? That's right. I see some heads nodding. Mom. Mom it is. Mom's the right answer. If something happens to mom, little Joey's cooked. Right? So a lot of these moms that don't take care of themselves, they might be okay for, the first, couple rounds of the day. But when we get into the later rounds of the day, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th round, they don't have that energy left. They're not giving themselves. They're not present. They're not aware. They're not conscious with their kids anymore, which could lead to more and more problems. So it's very, very important to put that oxygen mask on yourself first. And this is one of the things that I want to explain for you guys. So I brought a little demonstration. I'm going to show you. You guys see that? So what I have here, I'm going to move this stuff.
It's hard to see.
Hard to see.
I don't know if it's hard to see for anybody else, but it's just kind of far away. So, I see the board itself, but I don't.
So basically, all it says is what I share with you guys. All right. We got 5 F words: food, fitness, family, finances, fun. Okay? You have it in front of you anyways. And what I've also brought is the life balance box. Okay? Can you guys see that? All right. Ta-da, ta-da. All right. And I brought some extra tools. So I've got a funky green football. This is going to represent food. I've got a couple basketballs. Okay, this is going to represent fitness. I've got some tennis balls. Okay, a whole bunch of tennis balls back here. This will represent family. I've got golf balls, finance. A lot of people that are into money, they like golf. And then I got a whole whack of beads. I'm not going to tip them over, but they can go all over the floor. And what we're going to do is we're going to do it in reverse. So instead of food, fitness, family, finances, and fun, we're going to go backwards. Okay. And I'm going to show you what happens when we focus on putting fun first instead of putting ourselves first. All right. So fun, finances, family, fitness, food. Okay. So what we're going to do is use this life balance box as a tool so we can hit this point home. So let's take the fun. You know, back in the day when we're teenagers, et cetera, you know, or maybe in our early 20s, we're out clubbing or we're out partying. I mean, how many of us really focused on putting fitness and food first? Unless you're an athlete, who was out partying? I was out partying. So let's do that. We're going to put fun into the box. All right. Any golfers here? Anybody like golf? So we're going to take the finance balls, okay, and we're going to put that into the box. We got family tennis, okay, we're going to put those into the box. We got the 2 fitness balls. All right, we're going to throw them in there. Basketball, any basketball fans? Go Raptors. And we got our green funky football for food. We're going to put it in there. We're going to get the lid and we're going to be like, oh, sugar. Look at that. It doesn't fit. Epic fail. So obviously something is off. All right. So let's take these back out again. And we're going to do it in the right order. Anybody play tennis? Tennis players? No? Football? Golf balls. Bring these out of here again. I like doing this with the kids. No, once again, kinesthetically now and visually and auditorily sharing, communicating with as big of an audience as I possibly can. We'll take our fun beads and we'll pour them out. All right. So life balance box now empty, nothing inside, and we're gonna do it in the proper order. Food, so important. You know, energy in, energy out. You know, Calvin knows this as a personal trainer. You know, abs are made in the kitchen. You know, 70% in the kitchen versus 30% in the gym. I was a physique model, fitness model competitor from the ages of 33 to 36 before I had 3 major spinal surgeries, which is another story. However, predominantly my best results of shredding down to 3% came from learning how to properly eat food, not supplementation, not drugs, not steroids, just eating real food, proteins, carbohydrates, and good fats. A lot of people that are going on about anti-carbs, I mean, that's a big crock of shit. You know, to have a balanced, proper each and every meal, like 3 meals, having protein, carbohydrates, and fats is absolutely essential every meal. So, you know, use it or lose it. We got to put the fitness balls in there. We're going to go in and we're going to put our family balls, tennis balls. You know, God bless all the moms that want to put their kids first. It's just, you know, to reprogram them to put the light back on themselves again and to get into that self-love. And you wouldn't believe the tears and the testimonials and the kudos and the appreciation I get when I hold a mother's hand through the entire process of them getting back into shape and then them returning back to their family as a fit, healthy, conscious, vibrant mother full of vitality and life and love. Is monumental change, right? So let's take our finance balls and we'll put them in here. And we're going to take our fun beads. This gets a little crazy, so thank God you guys aren't live and this is all virtual because I don't want to take out somebody live. All right. Okay, so let's take a look, see if this works. Oh my Lord. Ta-da! Wait! There's something else. So now that we've taken care of ourselves, okay, we're good. We're healthy. You guys know what these are? These are protein shakes, okay? Let's go in here. We'll add some protein shakes for those who drink protein shakes. You know, some, I used to say wine, but I got in big shit for that from people that were, you know, sober. So let's say there's some protein shakes, and we'll go like this, and look at that. When we take proper care of ourselves, there's all this extra time to have a protein shake with a friend. That's the 5F word formula, guys. Is it, I was gonna say, like, June just turned into two people. I thought it was like two windows kind of blending together, like some Photoshop trick or something. I was like, that's cool.
No, I just called in a friend because this was so great. So yeah.
Very good. Protein shake with a friend.
This as well.
Okay, so let me continue. Is this better like this or like this? On or off?
Turn on the light.
On? Okay, very good. All right.
May your
Okay.
brilliant light shine forth, James.
So, I really enjoy creating tools for students, you know, whether it's an individual, as a life coach, success coach. I recently won the Canadian Motivational Speaker Talent Search based on my story. I was very honest and open about it. It was against 19 of the other top speakers in Canada, and it was actually in a church. I'm very non-religious. However, I'm very spiritual, and yes, I do believe in God. So the work that I do with the kids that I work with has to be done in a very non-denominational way. That way we entertain everybody, right? So ironically, I was in a Catholic church. You know, my children are Catholic, by the way. You know, my ex-wife was Catholic. I was born Lutheran, etc. I worked at an Anglican church camp when I was a kid. However, if I were to be religious, I would be Buddhist. I would be as close to Buddhist as I possibly could be. I've spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia and India and really, you know, discovering myself and my spirituality and my connection to the world and fostering and deepening many solid relationships that I have over in Southeast Asia. One of the things that, you know, I absolutely loved about traveling, which none of us have really done this year openly, which sucks because I'm used to traveling like every month, is harboring and fostering these deep relationships. And this topic today that all of us are discussing is relationships. But how cool is this? This is like Star Trek shit from like 10 years ago, where here we are, you know, beam me up, Scotty. You know, we got our little phone here and we can have talk on FaceTime and we connect. And even though like for the first 3 months of COVID, I wasn't able to see my own son. I just won my court case, a sole custody case against me. I won outright against the court systems, against a rigged system, against men. I fucking decimated them as a lawyer. I fired both of my lawyers. You know, where there's a will, there's a way. You know, there was only two options for my ex-wife. One was to either kill me or two, I win. Period. You know, and I would have ended up continuing. It had nothing to do with being nothing but amicable and loving and friendly to her 100% of the time, 100% of the way. And I ended up winning with that attitude, with love, in front of my 10-year-old boy. So now as my boy grows up, instead of being that dad that, you know, shoves stuff down his throat or showed him like when somebody hits you, you hit him back, or there's no other options. I taught him about love. And I taught him, you know, even though his mother was continuously attacking me and hurting me and defaming me and assassinating my character to him, I never once showed anger. I taught him how to choose joy. I'm a student of Esther and Jerry Hicks. Are you guys familiar with Esther and Jerry Hicks? There's a great book out called Ask and It Is Given, Learn How to Manifest Your Desires. And in that book, they talk about our emotional guidance system, which is something we are given before we decide to come into this human body. Let's call it it's like a GPS, okay? It's like a human GPS that we have, and it's called our feelings, okay? Feelings basically let us know. It's like our gut instinct to say, hey, you know, let's get out of here. Let's get out of Dodge, or hey, let's stay. There's a few levels of feelings that we have: fear, despair, grief, shame, anger, very low resonating emotions. They don't feel very good. Comparative to, love, abundance, compassion, happiness, joy, bliss. Okay. Joy is true north and bliss is God's currency. So I'm a bliss hunter. I travel the world looking for bliss, and you really only come across bliss when you genuinely and authentically give without expectation to those less fortunate or those in need, or being of a philanthropic nature. So I've become a philanthropic rock star. Pretty much a lot of what I do, as Alicia knows, is giving back to my chosen demographic, my target demographic, 14 to 17-year-old youth, to empower them to make better decisions, not going around glamorizing drug abuse or going around glamorizing gang life. There's absolutely nothing glamorous about it. It's to, not impress them, it's to impress upon them that we are creatures of habit, and we are also responsible for everything that has gone on in our life. And when we begin to take that responsibility, we can start to figure out, okay, well, maybe this didn't work, or that didn't work, or this is what I was supposed to learn, or this was a gift, or now these are the wisdom nuggets that I have to share that I didn't have before. We become more aware of ourselves and our ability to empower others. And truly, the only way we can empower others is by one thing, and it's our God-given duty, and it's the only thing that works 100% of the time without fail, and that's called inspiration. Our God-given duty is to inspire. So let's say Calvin, or June, you guys are very inspirational individuals. You're living life in an amazing way. You got your surfboard. I'm looking at you going, oh man, I'm so inspired. I want to come and visit. I want to go surfing with you. I want to go training with Calvin, or go horseback riding with Alicia. To me, that's inspirational. We're in a very significant room of inspiration right now that leads us down a path of light. But there's also, being inspired by negative individuals. So usually forcing somebody to do something against their will, or rules and regulations that don't necessarily agree with us, on the values and moral level, they don't work. They'll last in a very temporary manner. But at the end of the day, you're getting the heck out of Dodge, or you're going to go around, or you're going to go over, or you're going to go under, or you're going to go through sometimes, and learn the hard way, unfortunately, if it doesn't resonate with us. However, when we're living our life as an inspirational being, and we're putting our best energy out there, and we're going out and throwing hugs to the world, what are we going to get back? We're going to get more of that. If we throw a punch, what are we going to get back? Sometimes 10 times harder. And I, fortunately, because of the path that I chose, knew this before going into my court case. So now I had the ability to stay calm. I call it calm confidence. I'm a Zen cowboy. The entire court case, I was completely loving and Zen. And they're like, how is this guy staying so calm when this woman is throwing absolutely everything she can at him, assassinating his character, and taking the most important thing away from him? And to give you an idea of how painful this was, when I separated from my ex-wife of 5 years, I gave her everything materialistic. I came into this world with nothing. I'm leaving with nothing. I don't need anything. None of us need anything. The more shit we carry around, the harder it is to carry it around all the time, right? So I travel light. This is my office. This is my business, okay? So I've been a millionaire twice, all right? Cost me, I think, $900,000 the last time I became a millionaire. So really, was I a millionaire, right? So now I got my phone bill, right? And I'm in the crypto world. So, I just bought 100,000 shares of a coin called VeChain, which was 2 cents today. I think it was 2.5 cents, hovering between 2.5 to 2.9 cents American. Look at what Bitcoin is today. Over 40 grand. It was 2 cents 7 years ago. Okay. Now we're looking at coins that are evolving that anybody, and if you guys aren't into the altcoin cryptocurrency market, I would highly suggest you look into it, because Bitcoin is going to be repeated over and over and over again, just with different products, different names, different coins, different projects. It's called VeChain. I'll put it in there for you guys. Here's my tip for you guys. Obviously, do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor, but look into this coin and go sell your house. Put everything into it. So long story short, I'm going to wrap up with another tool that I share with my at-risk youth. I'm just in the process of building a ranch called the Reviver Rejuvenation Ranch for at-risk teens, both ladies and men. 160 kids, so 80 are girls, 80 are boys, 80 are rich, and 80 are poor. It's not a charity, it's a social enterprise. Charity, frankly, is bullshit. I've been involved in charity for 20 years. I've been on boards. I've been chairs of boards, mismanagement of funds, executive directors getting into it for the right reason, for whatever reason, getting tainted along the way, usually having something to do with money. 10 to 15%, maybe if we're lucky, of those funds going to where they need to go versus paying for the 15 Mercedes sitting outside of that big building that they paid for. So I got involved in something called social enterprise. Do you guys know what a social entrepreneur is? No? So social, meaning the best of the social world, the charity, philanthropic type world. Enterprise, meaning capitalism, right? So utilizing the best of both to come up with a sustainable model, a sustainable vehicle that allows us to make the decisions of how much we want to give back. So if I want to give 90% back of every dollar that I make to the kids, knowing that 90% of that money will go to the kids, knowing that I don't make my money there, I make my money elsewhere, that is possible. That is possible now. We work under the regular and corporate guidelines of Canada, up here in Canada. I'm looking to evolve it around the world as a franchisable ranch that's 100% sustainable. Rainwater, gray water, solar power, wind power, horses, like doing the animal equine therapy. That's how, Alicia and I connected originally. Dogs, I'm a Doberman pinscher breeder, training for security forces. I have a team of security gentlemen that I hire out to the cryptocurrency world back in the day when they were carrying duffel bags of cash around, which has evolved now into a legitimate business. But long story short, what I wanted to do is share with you something that I share with the kids, just to show another version of tools. And we all have these tools. We can all create these types of tools from the wisdom and the experiences that we've found and that we've been blessed and honored enough to gain throughout our own existence. Can you guys see that, or did that go directly to Jake? What's interesting is it's having me.
Yeah, you sent that straight to me.
Here, let's try this, Jake. We're gonna go. So in my last 14 minutes, I would love to join in chorus with you guys, reading this out together versus me reading it at you or to you. It makes a lot more impact when we read it together, and I implore you to read it in the morning, read it at the night, when you wake up, before you go to bed, as often as you have to. Share it with whomever you wish, especially the youngsters in our life, because words have power. It's one thing to think the thoughts, but when we actually say the word is already a trigger in the head, right? But when we actually move forward, it's taking action. And when we take action towards our dreams are coming towards us. Have you guys ever heard of the manifestation process? Ask, believe, act, receive. Okay. Anyone seen the movie The Secret? Anyways, ask, believe, receive. I added the extra word act in there. And I believe in this so wholeheartedly that I actually tattooed it on my neck. Ask, believe, act, receive. All right. So over and over and over again, when we start to manifest something into our life, we have to have this conscious thought about it, and we got to figure out a way and ask. Just like men don't necessarily know the answers to all the answers, we got to ask another man, but then we're going to look like, a wimp or a pussy or whatever we want to be called if we don't have the proper answer to that. So at some point we got to go around and we got to ask that. But in order to come with the reception and the receiving of the answer that we ultimately need, the first movement towards that is asking. And it's so powerful. And you might not even have to ask an individual. You ask, a society. You ask an online forum like this. You ask the God that you actually believe in, or the universe, right? And that starts it going. Then by taking significant action in it and wholeheartedly believing, like Michael was saying, believing in doing absolutely anything. We're all, have the same playing field. We can all go out there and become anything that we absolutely want to become. taking that action towards it, you know, by doing something like this or creating something like this affirmation list that I just did, and then receiving the results, receiving that abundance. And when we receive that abundance in money, okay, a lot of people go around saying, well, you know, I'm not about money, or money sucks, or money's evil, or money's this, money's that, well, guess what? If you're not about money, money's not about you. Treat your money like a beautiful woman. Treat your money like it's your absolute dream girl, and watch what happens. Treat your money like, you know, you're turning your back on her and you don't care and you walk away from it. Well, guess what? It's walking away from you too. All right. And I don't say this in a monetary, materialistic, consumeristic way. I say this as I implore you to understand that it's your absolute call of duty to become very, very wealthy and very, very rich, because money is an enabler that can expand what you have in your heart full tilt, 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, million times. Sohan, who's a good friend of ours, like Calvin and Alicia, and Jake, I believe you met Sohan as well. His small little audacious goal is to bring 100 million families out of poverty. He didn't say 100 families, he said 100 million families. And he's dead serious. And right now, in this day and age, we have the ability to do that with the cryptocurrencies that are on this planet, which is absolutely incredible. You know, it's like back in 2005, 2006, when they came out with like small stocks, and, you know, all those stock traders were getting very, very wealthy before the big crash in 2008. It's repeating right now with altcoins. If you guys don't know anything about altcoins, Bitcoin, Ethereum is an altcoin. There's about 1,500 altcoins, ALTCOIN altcoins. Do your research. Go on Google, go on YouTube, and just start typing in, what is a Bitcoin? What is cryptocurrency? Because I promise you, every single one of you will be using it at some point within the next 5 years. Everybody on earth. We're only about 5% adoption right now. So people are like, oh, it's too late. Bitcoin's 50,000. Well, guess what? 50,000 is nothing. 50,000 is chump change. Each Bitcoin will be a million per coin. Okay. So in the spirit of my last 10 minutes, let's open up.
Remember to leave time for questions, James.
I'm going to burn through this affirmation list with you guys at a nice pace. So do you guys have it open?
Open.
All right. So unmute yourselves, because in harmony, we're going to say this together at a decent pace. And there's a reason for doing it. And like I said, like, utilize it as many times as you can and as you wish yourself. Words have power, and there's a lot of empowerment in these words. So the daily real fiber affirmation. So basically, we'll start with number one. I'm just going to say it. You guys can say it along with me instead of me saying it and you repeating it. Let's just start together. Number one, I consciously
create the exact amount of emotional, mental, physical,
financial success in my life. I am an impact
influencer and positively role model, genuinely planet and prosperity.
I authentically love the life journey because my focus, drive, and capacity to learn,
drive, and capacity and grow
expands daily. I purposely serve others with gracious generosity, value to their lives, the communities we live in, and the world we all love. I am sincerely thankful for everything I have in my life, including the mentors, experiences, valuable lessons that I have shaped and sharpened me.
My intention
is to manifest wealth and abundance,
so I'm
able to create
my hand up to those who need it most.
Are you guys all hearing echoes?
Yeah.
That's a harder exercise than I thought. Maybe put yourselves on mute. I'll say it and you guys speak it, so we're not all speaking it. Okay, so all right, so let's do that last one again. Number 6, my intention is to manifest wealth and abundance, so I'm enabled to create a game-changing difference,
a game-changing life.
Hands up to those who need it most. Number 7, I have the skills and knowledge to resourcefully succeed in every area that I focus my positive and passionate energy on. I strive for well-being to live a healthy life of vitality, balancing the 5 key wellness pillars of food, fitness, family, finances, and fun. I understand that anything I focus on expands, whether positive or negative, so I only make good conscious choices. I enjoy the journey of life moment by moment, realizing fully that life is happening right now. I'm James Erdt, guys. Thank you for allowing me to share. I'm honored to be amongst such great men, and I'm open for questions.
I just want to say, James, that was phenomenal. You packed in quite a bit there, brother. That was good.
I mean, all your stories were so powerful to me. I mean, there's so much synergy between all of us. You know, like we've all gone through some pretty big shit.
That was just seriously motivational, brother. And I love the 5Fs. I just you got some little catchy takeaways from this that are going to stick in my head. I'm a bit earwormed by some of this in a very positive way. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jake. May I share 3 more juicy little bonus nuggets with you?
Please.
3 more F words: forgiveness, focus, and faith. Forgiveness, focus, and faith. Keep the faith, my man.
Beautiful. Jen, I feel like
What the fuck did you just do? That was amazing. That was so dope. I was like, I have to call my friend from over there, and it was like, dude, you gotta come, you gotta like, oh, bliss. Thank you.
My new girlfriend just said that too.
So you have a new girlfriend?
I do. Yeah. Beautiful girl. Yeah. She rides a Harley. Not on the back of my Harley. She rides her own Harley. So, and she can fix mine when we break down. So this is good.
Did you manifest her?
I think I did. Mm-hmm. This is actually the first lady that I've actually pursued. The last 4 pursued me. And I'm not with them anymore. I mean, all my relationships have been successful. I leave all of them on a good note. Even though my arch enemy was my ex-wife for the past 5 years, to the point of like where if she would have drove off a cliff, I would have pissed on her grave type hatred. Made amends with her. After I won, I went out and reached out to her. I doubled what I was supposed to be giving her financially because I'm in the position to, on my own will. And I never once rubbed it in her face. I just said, okay, you know, you could have had this for 5 years now. You attempted to take my son and my company away from me. When I left, I gave you all the material goods. I gave you a big house in Oakville with a car and you know, $500 more than I was supposed to be paying at the time back then. So by the time she took me to court, she had already received about 30,000 Canadian more, all my material goods. I moved into a rental apartment, lived on a yoga mat, slept on a yoga mat for probably about 6 weeks to like pick myself up and get back into buying furniture and building my life again. You know, made $1 million from that point twice. Lost $1 million twice. Now I'm back on the way up again. You know, COVID like fucked me huge. But once again, everything's for us. You know, I've learned so much. I've connected so much deeper to so many more beautiful people just like yourselves because of the COVID situation. And at the end of the day, like all the money and the power and the toys and the trips in the world, you know, if you're lying on your deathbed or you're sick or you're old and you're alone, you know, who's going to cry when you die? What's most important is those relationships that you foster. And I look forward to keeping and harnessing and building the relationships with you guys much deeper and as we evolve, because there's so many juicy nuggets and things that we can share as a collective and as individuals. Like Alicia was saying privately, she was messaging me, let's get, you know, Michael as many podcasts as we can. I was a TV show host. I was a Rogers is a big network here in Canada. I was a national broadcast television show host. So you guys can see my show. I'll put it in the thing there. I got all the reruns up on YouTube. It's called The Dynamo Show. And I interviewed 166 social entrepreneurs. So people who are living well and doing good. The prerequisite to be on my show is giving back. So I'm in season 3 conceptualization right now. And I've been offered a 13 spot slot on Netflix. But I think I'm going to use that for a reality show about at-risk youth and the ranch and the horses. So my focus is to get on the Oprah Winfrey Network. And I've got a new reiteration of my show. It's called Lifestyles of the Healthy, Wealthy, and Kind. And it's kind of a mix between, who's old enough to remember Robin Leach? Remember? Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. It was like the original Cribs before MTV. British guy used to fly around and show off everybody's shit. So that, and then Extreme Home Makeover. Remember that guy, Ty Pennington? Move that bus. So I wanted to be Ty Pennington when I grow up, right? So I wanted to give those houses to those people. And even though Ellen's going through a bunch of shit, I love Ellen, you know, because she can dance anywhere. She just comes out, she does her own thing, she bees herself, she dances absolutely anywhere, and that's me. So I kind of combined those three characters into one character, Lifestyles of the Healthy, Wealthy, and Kind. So I'm interviewing 13 billionaires around the world. The first one is the Dikembe Mutombo from the Congo. He's the first Congolese billionaire. He's actually building a city very similar to Akon City in Senegal, and gives back to his people significantly. He's ex-NBA player. I don't know if you guys remember the NBA in the 80s, Dikembe, Calvin, you know him. So he's the first. And then I got a short list that would absolutely blow your fucking mind in regards to the billionaires that I'm talking to. And the whole purpose of the show is to challenge them to give back $25 million of their own money out of their pocket to a cause that's close and dear to their heart, not my heart. Okay. And it's done in their country, in their community, and my team basically takes those funds and we hire the people that we need to set up the campaigns with their money. 25 million to a guy that, you know, take for example Elon Musk, who's on my list of targets who I'd like to pursue, who's now the richest man in the world. He just passed Jeff Bezos a couple of days ago. 185 billion I think he's worth now versus 184 billion. Big fan. But individuals like this, by interviewing them and allowing them to brag, because I'm asking them to brag. I mean, they all like to brag, but they don't want to do it because they look like dicks. But I'm going to help them, you know, look like dicks, right? So they can show off their goods, and they're actually paying us for the production, high quality production, to allow them to brag, and they're all going to try to outdo one another. But at the end of the day, I got 13 billionaires that are now giving back 25 million to a cause close and dear to their heart. And imagine the ripple effects of that. My job is just to inspire and ask the right questions.
That's beautiful, James. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's going to make it
Either
really
one.
awesome.
I'm honored, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for setting this up. I know what you went through to get this. And, you know, it's interesting because some speakers, some individuals, some humans, some personal development coaches would be above this. You know what I mean? Like I get paid $5,000 an hour, all right, to speak. And I don't even leave my house for less than $5,000 an hour, really, in the business world. We're in a very different environment. But the way you came across, you know, when you asked and how you showed up, and you're just so genuine and so pure and so authentic. And, we were mentioning earlier, what is the reason why there isn't 1,000 people on this? Can there be 1,000 people on this? Fuck yeah. 100% there can be, right? And if we all now take what you've started and maybe not only do it for men, but also do it for women, and keep the ball rolling. You take a break, you go be with your horses, do what you got to do. Let's reconnect, in a few months, when all of us had a little bit of a breather. This is how it starts. It's the spark. Like you've created the spark that lit the fire that can now turn into a bonfire, right? It takes a match to burn down the Amazon, but it also takes a seed to plant it. Yeah. Right. And you've planted the seed, and you got some incredible men here, and these men all love you and they believe in you. What's it called? Like for a man, it's called a harem of women. What's it called when a woman has a harem of men?
I feel like
and you're like a queen bee, but you put it together and you brought some incredible souls together. It's not easy. You didn't have the funds to pay all the guys. All these guys are giving of their own time, their energy. We're in a very interesting time, a virtual world. We have the ability to connect. I don't even know how big Zoom goes. Like, how many people can we fit on Zoom?
You should ask Tony Robbins, because he hosted the largest Zoom meeting basically of all time. But I don't remember what the exact number was, but it was I think it was in tens of thousands of people. But yes, every man that has spoken on the last two summits has done so freely of their own time. And I am incredibly grateful for the generosity of each man of their time and vulnerably sharing their stories. And because it's no small thing to show up here. And I love that everyone here is met as equals, regardless of where they are in the world, what their socioeconomic status is, you know, like anything. That it's like everyone is 100% purely treated as equals on this platform that I have seen. And I think that that is a really beautiful thing for all of us to get to model in the world. So thank you for that.
And every time I kept attempting to bring up how important it is for Alicia to make money, okay? 1 to 8, 1 to have a gym membership or get out there and do whatever you got to do and not hibernate in this and only do this, but not focus on generating the revenue is so important. And hats off to you, because even Tony Robbins, he'll tell you straight up, or any of these guys, the most important person in the entire industry, in the speaking world, is the promoter. Okay, without the promoter, none of this happens. Like without you, none of this would have happened. Jake had the idea; he was the seed. Okay, you germinated it. The fruits of your labor have come to fruition now, and we got ourselves, you know, a nice little garden. But we could turn something like this into a forest, and it's one of those things that's needed. Men need this, but there's not enough men out there that are a leader enough to convince men at Broad to do something like this, because men just don't. Men arrows around in their heart, broken till death do us part, and it's sad, right? Michael, what's going on, buddy? I would listen to your entire thing. I was feeding my dad. He's got Parkinson's and dementia, so he's not.
Can you unmute me?
You're on mute, buddy. You're good.
We hear you loud and clear. We feel you.
I thank you. It's really, I'm telling you, this summit has really impacted me, and it's going to continue to impact what I do. Because this has really opened my eyes to other people in other situations. And I'm gonna, when I get off of here, I'm going to tell people what I was a part of today, because it's truly wonderful.
Thank you.
Truly.
Thank you, Michael. And we've all been really inspired by you. And I can speak for myself and I think a couple of the other guys here. And we're going to reach out to our contacts for podcasts and different speaking opportunities for you, because we strongly believe in the message that you have to share with the world. So
I thank you.
Connections.
I will be glad to connect with each and every one of you. I'm a very lucky young man and grateful young man. So this has really shown me something and taught me something today.
Michael, do you have a bio and a professional headshot by chance?
My bio, I sent it to Miss Alicia, and I don't have, but I had to take another headshot, because in my bio, what it says is I'm a man with CP, but what I want to do in my career, I want to change the stereotypes and the perceptions that people have about people with disabilities. And I want to take that and I want to flip it on its head, because what people assume I am is not what we are. When you're disabled, that just means you can't move like everybody else. It doesn't mean you cannot speak or do for yourself.
Can I make a suggestion, Michael? Not to interrupt you, but just to add to that, may I make a suggestion?
Yes, please.
Could you say that again without saying wanna?
You're correct.
Michael, he gives me
You
shit
don't
about
have to say it again, but you get the point, right?
does it to
Let's
me.
bring it into the now, man. And in your bio, maybe you could put internationally recognized speaker from the Global Men's Summit.
Yes, sir. I think
We all can.
because what you said is correct.
Tim will vouch for Jake.
I'm going to change people's perception of what they think about people with disabilities.
Can you say that again without Anna?
You are changing.
Yeah, buddy. I am.
You did today.
I am.
You know, have you ever heard of Gary Vaynerchuk? Gary V? Does anybody know Gary V? He's one of the top internet marketers in the world. Yeah. He told me, he gave me $50,000 US off a stage in front of 1,500 people at the Archangel Summit a couple years ago. It was the first donation I got for my at-risk youth project, 50 US. I'm putting a movie together called Reviver. It's a social enterprise movie. I've hired Patrick and Kasia Wazowski from New Vision Films. They did Leap, Impact, and Think. Think is the Think and Grow Rich movie. Long story short, I was sharing very similar to you, Michael. And the first thing he says to me when, I was taking a breath was, fuck your wannas and your gunnas. I was like, what? All right? Fuck your wannas. He goes, your wannas and your gunnas are always out there. Right?
I love it.
Say it again. So I got that wisdom nugget from one of the top internet marketers on the planet who's well on his way to becoming a billionaire. And I think he's about to buy the New York Jets. So
I love it.
I
love it. That was great. Thank you so much. I love it. Thank you. You just taught me a lesson today because I've been using those phrases all my life, but what you said.
We all have. You're not alone, man. It's so important to eliminate those two words. If can't try, wanna gonna. Bye-bye.